Imagine the year is 1950 and a new era in motorsport has just begun. The FIA has introduced a new racing series called the Formula One World Championship with the aim of crowning the best driver in the world. And in the midst of all of this excitement and anticipation, a new hero emerged, a man who would go on to become Formula One's unknown first champion. His name was Giuseppe Nino Farina, and his story is one of excellent skill and talent, pursuing his dreams of becoming the best in a time where Formula One is much different to what it is today. Nino was born in Turin, Italy on October 30th, 1906. He was the son of a wealthy industrialist, and the family lived a privileged lifestyle. Nino was a talented athlete from a young age and excelled in many sports, including soccer, tennis, and skiing. However, it was motorsport that captured his heart, as was evident from an early age. As a teenager, he would often sneak out of his house at night to watch races at the local track. He was determined to become a racing driver, and in 1925, he bought his first car, a second-hand Alfa Romeo. He began competing in hill climbs and endurance events throughout Italy. In the early 1930s, Nino Farina joined the Maserati team, driving their 8C 2800 car. He quickly made a name for himself as a talented and aggressive driver, achieving some impressive results in races throughout Europe. In 1937, he won the prestigious Targa Florio race in Siliki, one of the most challenging and dangerous races in the world. Despite his success, Nino Farina's racing career was put on hold when World War II broke out. He joined the Italian Air Force and served as a fighter pilot, flying combat missions over North Africa and the Mediterranean. After the war, he resumed his racing career and continued to achieve success, competing in a variety of races throughout Europe. Then, in 1950, a sport would open up that would change his life forever. It went by the name of Formula One, which was a sport that was aimed at crowning the best drivers in the world. Fortunately, Farina was invited to the championship when he started the season driving for Alfa Romeo, one of the most dominant teams of the era. On the 13th of May, 1950, the first of 7 races were held. It was going to be an exciting one, with Queen Elizabeth attending the race and over 100,000 spectators watching alongside the track. Farina wasted no time, starting the race from pole position, which he secured with a lap time of 1 minute 50.2, over 2 seconds faster than his closest rival. He made a good start and managed to maintain his lead into the first corner, with his Alfa Romeo teammate Juan Manuel Fangio in second place. Farina then began to pull away from the rest of the field, setting a blistering pace and extending his lead over Fangio. He set the fastest lap of the race on lap 5 with a time of 1 minute 50.4. Farina continued to dominate the race, lapping most of the field and crossing the finish line over 2 minutes ahead of the second-place driver, Louis Rossier. The British Grand Prix was the first ever World Championship race, and as such, was a historic occasion for Farina and motorsport. He claimed Formula One's first pole position, race win, and fastest lap, which was broadcast on television for the first time, bringing the sport to a wider audience. This also put him at an advantage, having a 3-point lead just after the first race. The next race was at the Monaco Grand Prix, which saw an impressive qualifying performance from Fangio. Farina started the race from second on the grid, but unfortunately, he got caught up in a huge pileup which saw 8 drivers retire. This gave Fangio a very comfortable lead over the rest of the field in his dominant Alfa Romeo, claiming the fastest lap to be tied with Farina for the championship. The third race of the season was the Indianapolis 500, which was part of the World Championship at the time. He did not compete in this race, as Alfa Romeo did not enter due to concerns over the suitability of their cars for the high-speed oval. This meant that it became a 3-way title fight after Johnny Parsons won the Indy 500 with the fastest lap. The fourth race of the season was in Sweden, which was held on the 4th of June at Bremgarten. Farina and Fangio qualified on the front row, miles ahead of their other teammate Fiaggioli. In the race, the two drivers left everyone behind, with Fangio having the early lead until a faster fuel stop by Farina saw him down a place. Fangio then had an engine failure, meaning Farina had a comfortable race, finishing in first with the fastest lap. This put him 6 points ahead of second place, his other teammate, Luigi Fiaggioli. 2 weeks later, and the 5th race of the season was held at the Belgian Grand Prix at Spa-Francorchamps. The qualifying was business as usual, with Farina and Fangio taking a 1-2 with Fiaggioli in third. The Alphas went on their own to drive a good race, until Farina had a transmission issue in the closing laps which saw him drop down to 4th. Despite in the standings, the top 3 was separated by just 5 points, with the Italian driver leading once again. The 6th race of the season was held at France in the Circuit Ramsga. The championship battle was starting to ramp up as Fangio once again took pole position. Then in the race, Farina had a good battle at the start, leading until lap 16 when he had a costly fuel pump issue. This dropped him down to 7th place, which gave him no points. So when Fangio crossed the line in first with the fastest lap, he was ahead of Fiaggioli by 2 points and Farina by 4. It was time for the last race, the championship battle coming down to the wire. Who will take F1's first crown at the Temple of Speed? As the 7th and final race of the season was held at the Monza circuit, the prospect was looking difficult for Farina. For Fangio to become champ, he had to win or come second to guarantee the title, or come 3rd, 4th, or 5th with Farina second or lower. For Fiaggioli, he had to win the race with the fastest lap, with Farina 3rd or lower, and Fangio could not score any points. For Farina, he had to win with the fastest lap, with Fangio and Fiaggioli finishing 3rd or lower. As the lights went out at the high-speed track, Farina wasted no time leading the race. On lap 20, Fangio retired twice from the race, first with his Alfa Romeo and second after borrowing Piero Taruffi's car. This meant that after Farina crossed the line, since Fangio didn't score points and Fiaggioli finished 3rd, Farina was declared Formula 1's first champion. In total, Farina won 3 of 7 races, scored 2 pole positions and set 3 fastest laps over the course of the season. He finished the season with 30 points, 3 ahead of Fangio in 2nd place. Farina's 1950 season was a hugely successful one, and he played a major role in establishing Formula 1 as the premier form of motorsport. His racing career wasn't over though, as in the same year he won 5 other championships in different categories, making it his most successful year of his racing career. Giuseppe Farina continued to race in Formula 1 for several more years, but he never achieved the same level of success he did after his title-winning year. In 1951, Farina finished 2nd in the Drivers' Championship behind his teammate Juan Manuel Fangio. Farina won 2 races that year, but Fangio's consistency proved too much for him to overcome, and he finished the season 9 points behind Fangio. In 1952, Farina moved to the Ferrari team but struggled to make an impact, finishing 6th in the Drivers' Championship with just 11 points. He only managed to finish on the podium once, with a 3rd place finish at the Swiss Grand Prix. Farina then returned to Alfa Romeo in 1953 but failed to win a race that season, finishing 4th in the Drivers' Championship with 15 points. He did, however, set the fastest lap of the season in 3 races. In 1954, Farina moved to the Maserati team but had a disappointing season, finishing 8th in the Drivers' Championship with just 2 points. He only managed to finish on the top 6 once, with a 5th place finish at the Swiss Grand Prix. Finally, in 1955, at the age of 49, Giuseppe Farina retired from racing after a crash during the Monaco Grand Prix. The crash caused him to suffer a broken leg, which put an end to his racing career. Farina's retirement from racing was not unexpected, as he was already approaching 50 years of age and had been racing at the highest level for half a decade. After retiring from racing, Farina continued to be involved in motorsport as a team manager and as a member of the FIA Commission Sportive Internationale. He was a successful businessman and lived a long and fulfilling life, passing away in 1966 at the age of 59. Even though he was the first ever Formula 1 champion, most people still have never heard of him, and yet fewer know his tale. His career was marked by success, with many wins and podium finishes, and his skill and determination on the track were unparalleled. Farina's legacy was an important part of motorsport history, and while not commonly known, he will always be remembered as a true racing legend. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like the video. If you want to hear other interesting F1 stories, you can click on the video on your screen which talks about an F1 driver that won the championship after death. Hope you enjoyed. Peace.